Hello everyone, quick update from Russia. Today is the 20th of August, now it's 10 past 1, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day. And well, to make this update as short as possible, let's start straight away with the news. And first of all, breaking news for this moment, which is that Ukraine's so-called state adopted the law which will allow Kyiv regime to ban Ukraine's Orthodox Church, canonic Orthodox Church of Moscow Patriarchy. This law will go in force in 30 days. So it's only a matter of time when this beloved by Western ruling class regime will take a hit on Christianity in Ukraine. And of course, Western societies, majority of Western societies and the Western ruling class will applaud this decision. Of course, RIA Novosti is reporting. You judge, by the way. At this point, I don't really have anything to say about this craziness that is going on in Kyiv-controlled territory. It's total hell, really. And the scenery and you share your opinion, what you think about this extremely democratic and pluralistic Ukraine that is presented to you in the West, especially by Western propaganda outlets. What do you think? RIA Novosti is reporting that, according to Russian Defense Ministry, since the invasion of the Kursk region, Kyiv regime already lost 3,800 military personnel, about 4,000 military personnel, 54 tanks, 26 infantry fighting vehicles, 48 armored personnel carriers, 281 other types of armored vehicles, like Max Pro, for example, 123 motor cars, 27 field artillery pieces, 5 air defense systems, 7 multi-launch rocket systems, 5 radio-electronic warfare systems, and a bunch of other military equipment. I think estimations of the Russian Defense Ministry on losses of Kyiv regime in manpower is quite conservative. In my understanding, Kyiv regime already lost at least 5,000 to 6,000 military personnel, and I'm quite sure once Russian side will regain control over this Kursk salient, updated data will confirm my prediction. RIA Novosti is also reporting that according to Major General Abdiel Audiner, head of Akhmat Special Forces, Russian forces stopped any advances of the Kyiv regime in Sudzhansk direction, in Sudzha area, basically, and clearing operation is underway. When it comes to situation on the Kursk region, well, certain channels are reporting that Kyiv regime's invading force is still trying to move forward in several directions. They're managing to improve their positions and establish control over their certain areas in the Kursk region, but Russian Defense Ministry, Russian officials deny this information, and there are reports that advances of the Kyiv regime's invading forces have been stopped, not just in Sudzha area, but all along the front line. I'm not there, so I don't really know what the hell is going on. For example, this morning, military summary reported that Kyiv regime's forces managed to establish control over the eastern side of Korenieva settlement, for example. Russian side denies this information, and we have reports, video confirmations of destruction of at least 2 armored groups of the Kyiv regime in vicinity of Korenieva. In my understanding, if these armored groups that were advancing in this direction were destroyed, then I don't think they are in charge of that area. But yet again, as I said, some channels are reporting one thing or others other. Definitely hard to know what is going on, but in general, at least rapid advance of Kyiv regime forces definitely no longer happening. At least for now. At least for now, I still believe that this Kursk salient will play off the trap for last strategical reserves of the Kiev regime. But yet again, I'm no military expert, by the way, and I have also many questions that I did not see answers on for now. Eventually, of course, Russian troops will neutralize the invading force. I still believe in 3 to 4 weeks time maximum, although at this point nothing gonna surprise me, man. Nothing. I would not be surprised if Kiev regime will pull off some another surprising offensive operation in Bryansk region, for example, or in Belgorod direction, or maybe in Zaporozhye sector, man. I don't know. I still don't understand how this is even happening, man. If this is a trap for Kiev regime's strategical, reserves, that's one story. But if Kiev regime really caught Russian side with surprise, conducting this offensive, then and that's too bad, man. That's just too bad. Anyways, let's continue, and we have a reporter from RIA Novosti that Russian Air Force, by the way, conducted a strike on headquarters of so-called elite 47th Brigade of the Kiev regime in the Sumy region. This is the video confirmation of this strike, and as you can see, after this bombing campaign, I don't think anything was left from that headquarters of the 47th Brigade. No detailed information is provided about losses on part of 47th Brigade, but I guess significant number of commanding officers of that brigade were neutralized. RIA Novosti is also reporting that, according to Ukrainian propaganda outlets, there was explosions, including Strana UA. There was explosions in Kiev region. And several sources in Russian segment of internet reported that Russian armed forces conducted precise strike on point of deployment of foreign mercenaries in the Kiev region. Yet again, no precise information about level of losses that foreign mercenaries had during this attack. I can just add that whenever there is information about foreign mercenaries, usually my take is that this is NATO military personnel disguised as mercenaries. RIA Novosti is reporting that fire on fuel depot in Rostov region of the Russian Federation that erupted as a result of Kiev regime's drone strike is now spread on 10,000 square meters, which definitely indicates that this fuel depot suffered significant damage and destruction. And at this point, I only have one question, really, in regards to these energo facilities that are targeted by Kiev regime on a regular basis in European parts of Russia. And question is, why these energo facilities are not being evacuated deep inside the Russian territory towards, let's say, Ural Mountains? Why? I don't get it. After all, I mean, there is historical analogies, right? During the Great Patriotic War, Soviet leadership made decision to evacuate not just dozens, but hundreds and thousands of factories from European parts of Soviet Union towards deep inside Russian territory, towards some other areas, to make sure that these factories are safe, and this decision played crucial role in Soviet victory over the Nazi Germany, because those factories were producing weapons and munition for Soviet troops, right? And I mean, this special military operation is in its third year. Kiev regime is targeting Kiev regime with active support, obviously, of the NATO member states that are providing intelligence data and targeting data. They are striking Russian energo facilities and other infrastructure in European part of Russian Federation on regular basis, and for whatever reason, no decision is made to evacuate this infrastructure. I mean, you tell me why. For 3 years, I mean, one could definitely disassemble, for example, fuel depot, move it towards other territory and reassemble there, right? Why this? I mean, whoever is in charge of these fuel depots or these companies, or if it's the state-run, then why officials that are in charge of this energy sector are not making necessary decisions to evacuate these facilities, man? I truly don't understand, man. And every other day, Kyiv regime is unfortunately successfully targeting this infrastructure on European part of the country. And after all, evacuation of this infrastructure is strategically important for Russia's safety, in my personal opinion, because even after this conflict will end in so-called Ukraine, and Russia will achieve unconditional capitulation, unconditional surrender of the Kyiv regime and the Western ruling class, where is the guarantees that NATO or collective West will not wage another war against Russia, proxy war or direct war, in 5, 10, 20 years time from now? Where is the guarantees? There are no such guarantees, right? And this strategic infrastructure, of course, will be much more useful for Russia in case of another war, if this infrastructure will be evacuated and rebuilt somewhere in Ural Mountains, for example. But yet again, I mean, no one is asking me, isn't it? Opinion. I guess people that are in charge know better. Although it is frustrating to see every other day these fuel depots and other infrastructure being targeted and destroyed. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Russian armed forces also conducted strikes on energy infrastructure of the Kyiv regime, and the fuel depot was targeted in Ternopil region, and this fuel depot was playing crucial role in to supply Kyiv regime's forces with fuel. Okay, understand. But yet again, these retaliatory strikes don't change in principle nothing, because the Kyiv regime still continues to destroy Russian energy infrastructure in European part, and will continue to do so until unconditional surrender, or until these energy facilities are moved far away from Kyiv-controlled territory, so that Kyiv regime's forces would not be, and NATO forces would not be able to reach them, at least this easy. Anyways, when it comes to energy sector of the two sides, probably many of you already know that in Western propaganda outlets there was articles, initially in Washington Post, if I remember correctly, some couple of days ago, about behind-the-scene negotiations between Moscow and Kyiv, and sides almost achieve agreement not to target each other's energy infrastructure. Although then Kursk invasion had happened and Russia withdrew from negotiations. I mean, that's my interpretation of the information that is circulating in the Western media, and also independent media, by the way, is reporting on that. Moscow officially denied any negotiations with the Kyiv regime. Day before yesterday, I believe, Maria Zakharova commented on this article in I don't know, it was Washington Post or something, and said that there was no negotiations with the Kyiv regime, not in Qatar, not somewhere else. But if there was negotiations, I wonder who authorized these negotiations, and who in Russian government is naive enough to believe that some agreements can be achieved with Ukrainian Nazis and the terrorists and their Western masters. I mean, I may not be a genius, and I am definitely not a genius. Quite an average individual with average intellect. And still, I understand perfectly well that Kyiv regime cannot be trusted on anything, right? And Western ruling class cannot be trusted. I mean, it's just factual. It is what it is. There is no way around it. You cannot be that naive to believe that you can achieve some agreement with Kyiv regime and then these Ukrainian Nazis and terrorists will stand to that agreement, will follow through with the agreement. It's just not happening. It's nonsense, right? And therefore, if there was negotiations in Qatar, by the way, and well, independent media, by the way, that we all respect, independent media believes that there was some sort of negotiations, right? I don't have any respect for Washington Post or Western propaganda outlets, but I have respect for independent media, alternative media, and they find the Russian denial of the negotiations not really convincing. So I have a question. If truly there was negotiations, then I wonder who that person is that is so naive in Russian leadership that still believes there can be some agreement reached with the Kyiv regime or Western ruling class and their enemy will follow through with this agreement, man. This is I don't know, man. This is some next level of strangeness that I truly cannot understand, no matter how hard I try, man. Maybe some decisions has to be made, by the way, and some people had to be removed from high-ranking positions because knowingly or unknowingly, those people are sabotaging Russian Federation. Incompetency sucks, you know? Incompetency sucks. And is very dangerous. Alongside corruption, incompetency is extremely dangerous, especially when corrupt or incompetent individuals are on high-ranking positions. But anyways, maybe there was no negotiations, by the way. If there was no negotiations, okay then. But if there was, I have questions, man. But let's continue with this news. TASS news agency is reporting the deputy of the Russian foreign minister, Mikhail Galauzin, during his meeting, his conversation with the Turkish ambassador in Russia, Tanju Bilgicem, condemned, first of all, of course, Kyiv regime's attack on terrorist attack on Russia's Kursk region and stated that in current circumstances there can be no negotiations with the Kyiv regime. And also interesting statement because in current circumstances, what that even means. If Kyiv regime did not attack Kursk region, then Mikhail Galauzin thinks negotiations with the Kyiv regime is a good idea. What that current circumstances means. Did not Kyiv regime prove many times already that you cannot trust them? Did not Western ruling class proved many times already that they cannot be trusted? I mean, yet again, man, me as an ordinary person, I truly find it difficult to understand what these current circumstances mean. There is no such a thing as a current circumstances. There is only one thing, unconditional surrender of the Kyiv regime that should be acceptable for Russia. Only unconditional surrender. That's it. I mean, let's continue, man. Let's continue because it is really frustrating, man, to see some quite Anyways, RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, US private military company Forward Observation Group is publishing photos on its Instagram page of its members that are participating in this Kursk invasion. of the Kyiv regime and NATO. And well, if anybody needed some additional confirmation that NATO troops are involved in this invasion of the Russia, then I guess these photos from Forward Observation Group, a US PMC, can be seen as an indirect, at least, indicator that yes, NATO and Western secret services are directly involved in this invasion, because we all know that NATO military personnel is disguised as mercenaries exactly through these so-called private military companies that in reality are part of Western intelligence services, right? So yes, they are publishing now photos of their mercenaries, their members in the Kursk Oblast, Kursk region, and these photos were geolocated, and those photos was made in Kursk region, and those photos were even uploaded on internet from the Kursk region. So yes, NATO is directly involved. NATO is directly involved in this invasion of the Russian Federation. RT is reporting that Italian state media reporter apologized over Nazi SS broadcast. The Italian journalist who recently interviewed the Ukrainian soldier wearing Nazi insignia has apologized. Ilario Piagnerelli, reporter with the Italian state broadcaster Rai News 24, said he deeply regrets the interview, but called their uproar on social media a tool of pro-Russian propaganda. Yes, of course, it's a pro-Russian propaganda that you went to interview this Nazi individual that is openly wearing Nazi insignia. I mean, it's Russians force you to do this, isn't it? Ilario Piagnerelli. How stupid you really are, huh, dirty bitch. Unbelievable, man. These criminals, man, these criminals will justify just about anything, literally anything. Any crime that they are committing, and the promotion, by the way, of Nazi ideology and the Nazis is definitely a crime, right? So this so-called journalist committed a crime. And these dirty prostitutes will justify anything, man, and will say, you know what, it's all Russian propaganda, and okay, man. Unfortunately, probably significant number of, or majority of Western ruling class, Western societies, man, will believe this nonsense. It's even if they see video of Ukrainian Nazis with Nazi insignia and the rest of it, they will say this is Russian propaganda. It's a Western media, so-called media outlet, is promoting Ukrainian Nazis, but I don't know how brains of those people are working, but majority of society in the West will still believe that this is Russian propaganda. And there are no Nazis in Ukraine. Okay. I have no comments, man. I'm just sick and tired of this nonsense that is happening, man. RT is reporting that, well, another interesting statement, this time from Czech President Petr Pavel, who said that Ukraine could join NATO without territory lost to Russia. NATO could allow Ukraine to join the bloc without having to recapture territory it had lost to Russia. Czech President Petr Pavel has stated. Pavel, who led the NATO military committee from 2015 to 2018, argued that Kyiv may not need to achieve its stated aim of retaking all of its lost territory from Russia in order to join the bloc. And then quote, by the way, I don't think that the full restoration of control over their entire territory is prerequisite, is necessary, basically. If there is a demarcation, even an administrative border, then we can treat this administration border as a temporary one and accept Ukraine into NATO with the territory that it will control at the time. Czech president told the Novinky CZ a cheesy news website on Monday. Okay, this idiot did not actually read, I guess, NATO's founding documents, which clearly said that no country can enter organization, this military alliance, anti-Russian military alliance, and the terrorist organization, basically, if it has any territorial disputes or are engaged in military conflict. But yet again, man, nowadays it's a classic. At this point, it is classic that on the leadership positions in the NATO member states or EU member states in collective West usually are put extremely stupid individuals. Extremely stupid individuals that probably have one or two brain cells. That's it. And this Czech president clearly is, demonstration of that. No comments, man. Just read founding documentations of the NATO and then make some comments, you fucking idiot, man. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. And when it comes to this topic of Ukraine in NATO, Ukraine will never join NATO, by the way. This is not happening in no circumstances. But some territories of Ukraine eventually will become controlled by NATO, because you know my take on the fate of this quasi-state under the name of Ukraine. After this conflict will end, the vast majority of territories will go back to Mother Russia, because those territories always was Russia. And since the creation of the basically Russia, I will argue. And because before that, these territories was part of Sarmatian civilization. My ancestors, right? Ethnically speaking. But anyways, when it comes to Ukraine, by the way, vast areas of this territory, of course, will be controlled by Russia after this conflict will end. At least from Kharkiv to Odessa region towards Pridnestrovia, up to Pridnestrovia border. And the western Ukraine, of course, most likely, I will say 99%, by the way, will be controlled by NATO, will be occupied by NATO initially, and they may maintain name of Ukraine for a little while over that territory, but eventually Poland, Hungary, and Romania will have a claim on that land, because those territories used to be part of Romania before Second World War, Hungary before First World War, and Poland before Second World War. And there maybe Kiev and surrounding areas will remain on the political map as a quasi-state under the name of Ukraine. I will give it 1-2%. Although, and that quasi-state will never join no military bloc. Although I really struggle to understand why would Moscow ever allow Kiev and their surrounding areas to maintain statehood. I mean, it's nonsensical, man. But again, I am just an average person, by the way, ordinary person, and my understanding of the situation can be mistaken, right? Let's continue, and well, I'm a bit sad. I'm a bit sadder today because our community on Patreon lost 3 members, and this is a big hit to this project of mine. And well, if you find my work, by the way, interesting, if you think my channel on YouTube or on Rumble or on Telegram is interesting, useful, informative, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with donation through PayPal or Boosty, by the way. This is Boosty platform, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Well, things are going not so well, isn't it? I mean, I was hoping to reach that our community on Patreon will reach 200, but in reality, it's opposite is happening. unfortunately. And well, maybe I have to start thinking about some day job, really, man. And I have to stop wasting my time on these news updates, man, or some I don't know. Uh, anyways, yes, I mean, it's up to community, anyways, isn't it? If I have enough support to work on this project, because it's a full-time job, by the way, full-time job, exhausting job, by the way. Just try one day. You'll find out how not easy this stuff is. At some point, you may lose sleep, by the way, because of there's so much news that you are working with her, and all these preparations of the updates constantly. And I mean, it's a full-time job with everyday overtimes. And yeah, see, if I had support, okay, I will stay on this project. If not, then well, we had a good run, isn't it? I mean, it's the second year, by the way. I'm working on this project, and I'm truly grateful for attention and support that I receive. And yet again, I know times are difficult worldwide, and not everyone can support, even if there is a will. And I have my obligations also, right? First of all, to my family, and it's becoming more and more difficult to maintain focus on this project, by the way, because of this constant financial struggle, man. I'm just sick and tired of it, man. I was living a very happy, peaceful life when I was working in Leroy, by the way. Since I start making, I mean, since now I focused on this project full time, and it's constant stress, man. And dear friends, that's why I'm saying, because I mean, with the donations, you never know. Yesterday, for example, I did not have a single donation, not even $1. So you never know, and there are so many days like that, right? When not even a single dollar being donated to the project. And that's why Patreon and Boosty, I mean, on Boosty I only have 8 subscribers, but on Patreon, community is bigger, and it is very important to me, because it allows me to know approximate level of funds that I can operate with. And if you want this project to survive, please consider to subscribe to my Patreon. I can promise on my part that I will do from September, once we will finally move to Moscow. I can promise that I will make a significant number of bonus videos on Patreon as my thank for your support, and it will be informative and entertaining. I have some plans, and I will work on that. Links are under this video, by the way, in the description box and in the pinned comment. And yes, let's continue. Subscription on Patreon starts from $5, and then you can choose your level of support. I mean, monthly subscription is only like cup of tea, man. $5 a month. RIA Novosti is reporting that well, Israel accept a US proposal for ceasefire. Although I also see reports that Hamas is not taking Israel's stand seriously. They think Israel is bluffing, and in reality, Israel is not intent to end the hostility in Palestine. Few days ago, there was reports that all this conversation that took place in Qatar, in Doha, between different parties to achieve ceasefire in between Israel and Palestine was a failure, according to some reports. And well, it is difficult to understand which way situation will move. But yet again, at this point, probably entire world is struggling to understand which side stands on which positions, because statements quite often from same people contradicting statements being made quite often in a single day. So we only can hope that there will be end of hostilities, by the way, and no more civilians will be harmed as a result of this conflict. TASS news agency is also reporting that the intelligence community of the US is claiming that Iran is trying to hack headquarters of the Trump and Harris campaigns. I don't believe in this, by the way. Lately, there was too many statements that Iran is doing this and Iran is doing that. Western ruling class, US intelligence community and their deep state clearly is trying to create this anti-Iranian narrative in US. And I'm afraid they will manage to succeed in this, which definitely raises the question: is Iran is next target of Western ruling class? In my opinion, yes. Iran is going to be targeted, by the way, and Western ruling class, because they want to provoke regional war to cut China from Middle Eastern energy sources. I'm afraid the intelligence, so-called intelligence community of the US, deep state, Western ruling class in general, and their assets in the Middle East, for example, Netanyahu's regime, they will don't stop to escalate, to escalation in the region, and unfortunately there is a high risk that eventually they will provoke full-scale war in the region. It is high risk. I mean, there's a high risk of that. And dear friends, if you're wondering how Russian society will vote in US elections, then I have some statistics for you. Ethereum, sociological study company here in Russia, conducted a study on this matter, and the results are that more than 37% of Russians would vote in this presidential race for Trump if they were able to participate in these elections. Also, by the way, only 8% of Russians will vote for Kamala Harris, which is a little bit surprising, but okay. Russian society is, of course, significantly conservative. Family values, traditional values have a huge meaning here, which is great. And I'm not at all surprised that majority of Russian society, for example, if not majority, then significant part, at least 37%, will vote for candidate in US elections that stands for traditional values, at least public in his public statements, and only 8% will vote for Kamala Harris. Although, by the way, 40% of Russians will not even participate in these elections, will not vote for nobody, and 50% struggle to give an answer on this topic. So 40% of Russians will not even participate, probably because they are quite sure that these elections are just a show, and in reality presidents don't really make that much influence, have that much influence on politics of the US, and deep state is in charge in reality, which is true, by the way. I believe also that in reality US is run by not elected people that are always in shadows, but 37% will vote for Trump, which is also quite interesting. And by the way, I will end this update on this news from Kommersant newspaper that due to high level of expectation in Russian society that prices will increase in a relatively short time. Because of these expectations, Russian central bank may further increase interest rates because this expectation of public that prices may rise force people to impose further pressure on a supply chain, and they are buying things just because they think these goods may get a bit expensive. And because Russian economy is overheating and demand is higher than supply, only way, I guess, at this point, or one of the ways at this point, that central bank can cool down this spending spree of the public is to further increase interest rates. And I'm afraid that's exactly what is going to happen, by the way. Probably before end of this year. Russian central bank will increase interest rates for another at least 2 percentage points, or more, by the way. Let's see. But yet again, I mean, economy is overheating, and definitely something has to be done to cool it down a little bit. And of course, there are huge investments in economy, investments, and factories being built, and services are opening. But there is also a shortage of the workforce, and simultaneously you have to not just invest in economy, but you have to make sure that you have enough workforce that will work in these factories, right? Unemployment rate is on historical low. It's like about 2% or something. Numbers that have never been seen before. So yes, that's what is happening, by the way. And well, I'm not really happy about it, that interest rates may further increase, but if that is necessary, then to cool down economy a little bit, then that's what central bank will probably do. I would not be surprised at all if interest rate will reach 22% before end of this year. Interest rate will remain high in entire 2025 most likely, and we might see decrease in interest rates in 2026, beginning of this process, 2026, 2027. For that time, probably balance will be reached between demand and supply. But anyways, this is it for now, dear friends. Hopefully you will find this update interesting, informative, and useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything or any topic. This is the only way we can at least try and influence algorithm. And for the very same reason, if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends in real life or on internet. That might be helpful also. And yes, that's it. I already mentioned that if you think my work deserves support, then you can support. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day, and take care.